Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of New to Weeaboo. This is number 93 for March 8th, 2023. I am Nemesis, and I am joined by Alcatraz.
Hello.
Yeah, so first off, some new stuff. Uma Musume Season 3 was actually announced, just kind of quietly.
Yep.
There it is, Season 3, and it looks like it's going to be focused on yet another set of characters instead of the ones from the first two seasons, because it seems to be the thing now.
Yep.
Couple things. The Crunchyroll Anime Awards happened as this morning, as of the recording. Let's see. This is the weird one where they kind of all the fall 2022 stuff was disqualified and will be rolled into the 2024 awards because of reasons. I believe the whole idea was to prevent a recency bias from happening.
Right.
But let's see. Their anime of the year, according to them, was Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Best original anime, Licorice Recoil. Best character design, Demon Slayer. Best animation, Demon Slayer. Best new anime, Spy Family. Best continuing, One Piece. Best opening sequence was Attack on Titan's final season part 2. And it's ED, Spy Family. Score, Attack on Titan. Film, Jujutsu Kaisen 0. Song is Attack on Titan. Director, Demon Slayer, Haruho Sodazaki. Main anime character, Eren Jaeger. I think it's supposed to be German because it's Attack on Titan.
Possibly.
Best supporting and Anya Forger? Supporting? Really?
Interesting.
Best must protect at all costs, Anya Forger. Action anime, Demon Slayer. Comedy, Spy Family. Drama, Attack on Titan. Fantasy, Demon Slayer. Romance, Kaguya-sama. Voice acting,
romantic.
Yuki Kaji as Eren Jaeger in Attack on Titan. English, Zach Aguilar, David Martinez in Cyberpunk Edge Runners, and there.
A lot of Demon Slayer and Attack on Titan
Yes.
and Spy Family.
Yeah. That's a thing. But there's also another awards thing happened, the Anime Trending Awards, which is our 9th annual version. Let's see. This was a big one because, so the anime of the year, it was Bocchi the Rock.
Woo.
Movie of the year was Sword Art Online Progressive Aria of Starless Night. Character Awards, Boy of the Year, Jiro Shinpei from Summertime Rendering. Girl of the Year, Marin Katagawa. Although second place was Hitori Goto. So yeah, second place there. Couple of the Year from Miyuki Kaguya from Kaguya-sama.
Yep.
Supporting Boy, Tengen Uzui from Demon Slayer. Supporting Girl, Hizuri Mikata from Summertime Rendering. Aspect Awards, Best Adapted Screenplay, Bocchi the Rock. Best in Animation, Mob Psycho 103, but Bocchi the Rock took second place. Best in Character Design was Licorice Recoil. Bocchi the Rock took third place. Best episode directing story by Bocchi the Rock. Bocchi the Rock, Season 1, Episode 8.
Yep.
Best original screenplay, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Licorice Recoil second. Gundam third. Best in Senior Visuals, Call of the Night. Best in Soundtrack, Bocchi the Rock. Best in Voice Cast, Bocchi the Rock. Theme Song Awards. Opening OPs, Cheeky Cheeky Bam Bam. But second place, Session Complex from Kesoku Band for Bocchi the Rock. Ending theme song was Yufukashi no Uta, Creepy Nuts. I believe that is that's something I don't know which that's for because they don't tell you which anime it's for. They just tell you the name and the band.
Yeah, they tell you the band.
Kesoku Band got fourth place in that one for Distortion. That's one of the EDs. Action or Adventure Anime of the Year, Chainsaw Man. Licorice Recoil got second place. Comedy, Bocchi the Rock.
Bocchi
Drama,
sleep.
Licorice Recoil. Fantasy, Made in Abyss. Music, Bocchi the Rock. Music Anime of the Year, Bocchi the Rock. Mystery Psychological, Summertime Rendering. Romance anime, Kaguya-sama, not surprising. Sci-fi mecha, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Well, those who Gundam got second on that one. Slice of life anime, Bocchi the Rock.
Yeah.
Sports anime, Aoshi. Supernatural, Summertime Rendering. Which apparently that's on Hulu. Actually, it's on Disney Plus, except in the US where it's on Hulu.
Interesting.
It's a weird one. Voice acting awards. Let's see. Natsuke Hane for Shinpei Aijiro for male performance. Female performance. Atsumi Tanizaki for Anya Forger. Chika Anzai for Shisato in Licorice Recoil is second place. Yep. Yeah, those are those awards.
A lot of awards.
Yes.
And Bocchi got a lot.
Bocchi got a lot with the Bocchi sweep.
Yep.
As I saw being called. Because, yeah, lots of awards for Bocchi. Well deserved, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that was an overly long segment there. Personal thing, I actually been reading the light novel for I'm in Love with the Villainous. I've been reading that because the anime's coming this year, and I kind of was like, you know what? I've been meaning to read this for a while, and I'm finding, okay, yes, there is an official English translation now, versus last time I tried it was not, and it was a machine-translated garbage, and it was awful and terrible, and I hated it every second I was trying. I gave up after like 5 pages. But anyway, I'm very much looking for that anime when it comes out. So that's a thing there. Beyond that, it's just pretty much been keeping up with the seasonal stuff. Onimai, Magirivo.
Yep, I've been keeping up with Magirivo and Onimai.
The other one, I can never remember the name because it's just I just remember it's the long one's the other gender bender. Something about mastering the blade or something like that.
Yeah, that one. I haven't been watching that one.
I have been, and it's still pretty all right. Yeah, so those are things. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that stuff too much more.
More than we already have.
Yeah, we're here to talk about, like we said, Magia Records Seasons 2 and 3, which apparently do have subtitles, as in, subtitled titles for the actual anime, not subtitles in,
they have
the
those
dialogue.
subtitles too, but yes.
The Season 2 is The Evil Awakening, and Season 3 is Dawn of a Shallow Dream. So anyway, Troy, it's a continuation, of course, obviously, of Season 1, in which, you have the whole thing with, like, Iraha's looking for a missing sister who just literally disappeared from the world, and, like, literally no one remembers her. Technically, she doesn't remember, but there's that weird echo of a memory type of thing, I guess.
Yep.
And also, there's a lot of signs that something's missing.
Big voids where there should have been something.
Yeah. And eventually, she winds up in Kamihama City and meets Yachio and a whole bunch of other magical girls, and winds up winding about Magius or Magius, depending on how you want it.
Magius.
The group who are apparently trying to prevent magical girls from turning into witches and all that stuff. And instead, there's this whole doppel system, and so they turn into that instead of turning into a witch, and then they go back to being their magical girl self. And that's kind of more or less where we are at the end of Season 1, plus Mommy's there, and she's brainwashed, and so is Sayaka, and Sayaka had to defend them from Mommy's assault. And then also, Iraha fell down a hole.
She's in the hole.
So Season 2 opens actually with the original characters, Madoka, Homura, and Sayaka. Those 3 in particular. And then them deciding to go off and save Mommy. And yeah.
Yep. That's how that one starts, but then it switches back
Then we switch over to Yachio having her freak out because Iraha's dead. At least she thinks she is, and turns out no, she's probably not. And then her and Kuroe, who was Iraha's friend, who's also a magic girl, wind up going and saving her. And then they have to they'll go confront Magius, who turns out there's a whole thing there where they're trying to stop all magic girls from turning into witches, and they have a whole plan there. As
their plan, the plan as presented was that they created it. Artificial witch that was going to absorb a whole bunch of other witches and then eventually absorb and eat Walpurgisnacht, and then that would gain enough power to spread their doppel system.
Also, they've been
world.
having to feed the artificial witch grief seeds from other witches they've contained somehow.
Then also, feeding the witches that they have stored with negative emotions and such. Yeah, and that's the whole part of the whole thing. Rumor system and the what do they call those? Starts with a U. Uwasa, which is I think just rumor.
Yeah.
But they create those which grab all the negative emotions to feed the witches to make them big so they can feed the grief seeds. It's this whole process. But then it turns out
there's a whole thing there. They have to fight the magical girl who was corrupted, I guess brainwashed, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Tsuruno.
Yeah, it's Tsuruno.
They get a lot of Oz in them. Like
Connect thing.
There's a whole thing. Yeah. The Connect.
The whole Connect thing.
From the game. Because, this is the gacha game thing.
Yeah.
And then that's Season 3 ends with them winning that. And then, but still, Magius is still kind of moving forward with their plan.
Yeah.
And then Season 3 is kind of more about, actually, the artificial witch launching and then stomping them at that, and also finding out the whole backstory of what actually happened to Ue, which is, Ui, which is Iraha's sister and all that stuff. To really find out what actually happened.
Yeah.
And then also the end where I guess they win? Question mark.
Win?
Win?
Did they?
Yeah, exactly.
Look, we saved the city.
Exactly. And that's kind of the gist of things.
And then it ends with Kuroe.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that. That's kind of a thing. But
yeah, it's secondary. It's sort of secondary ending.
So okay, so first of all, so you get the beginning thing with Iroha and Yachio, which is Yachio distraught. Like, she's actually just willing to just kill people in order to find out what's going on with Iroha. And then also she has her whole thing initially also everyone says that everyone dies on me. You said you won. How could you? that whole thing. So that which is also, again, that weird interesting thing. Well, somewhat uncomfortable thing. Again, they're seeming to be positioning Iroha and Yachio as basically the new Madoka and Homura, which is, again, kind of weird because Iroha is like 14 and Yachio's 19. And again,
it's a bit more of an age gap going on here.
Yeah, versus like maybe a couple months apart.
Yeah.
We got, 5 years for like a 30-something-year-old, not a big deal. 5 years for a 14-year-old, kind of a problem.
Yep.
Anyway. So that's a thing, but he's like all caught up in some sakura tree because of reasons.
That was Nemu's doing.
Yeah, but it's
with a special uwasa.
Special one, yeah, but still a weird thing in general. Just because
you're basically in control of reality, you can do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, but I think seasons 2 and 3 here are quite a bit messier than season 1, because I remember our thing about season 1 was we were kind of generally, it's pretty good, but cannot compare to Madoka Magica itself. It's one of those things where it's like, in comparison, it falls way short, but as standing on its own thing, it's kind of a pretty decent anime in its own right. I feel like season 2 and 3 here are really kind of fall apart really quickly and nowhere near as good as season 1.
It's tough for me to say one way or another on that one. Like, I think there's more interesting things going on, but the execution is a bit more flawed because I think there's too much happening at once. It's messy.
Yeah,
it's messy, but there's certain concepts that come up that I think are more interesting.
Right.
I think season 1, like you say, it was pretty good, but if I remember correctly, because it's been a while since I've seen season 1 of this one, it didn't ever reach the highs of it. Of anything else, it was good, but it could have been better. But it was at least consistent.
Our thing about season 1 was on its own was actually a pretty good magical anime thing. The problem was it's in the Madoka universe, so it's put
up against the original,
which I
think if I remember correctly, one of my other complaints was the lots of characters due to it being from a gacha game.
Yeah,
and that's having still to deal with here. All of that.
In fact, I would actually argue it's a bigger problem this season 2 and 3, particularly since here they big problem here is a lot of the characters just disappear and reappear as needed, but we'd spend no time with them, but they kind of expect us to care about them.
Right.
And like, if you don't play the game, which you can't if you're in the US, not without, doing some shenanigans.
Yeah.
And then hopefully hope you speak Japanese. Or can at least read the Japanese at least, right? But because of that, you got characters appearing and disappearing. Like, there's that one girl, I can't remember her name. She's got green hair. She got a shield. Her big weapon thing is a big old shield. And I don't remember her name. I don't remember any of their names. I only remember, basically remember the originals, from Madoka Magica, Iroha, and Yachio. And that's pretty much it. everyone else is kind of like there. And that's the problem. Is this like I don't? I could look on a list or whatever and see who they are, but like they just don't matter because they're barely there until they are. And the problem is there's these what's clearly supposed to be these huge emotional beats don't hit very hard because
there's so many characters and they don't have enough time to get through all of them.
Yeah, so it's like, all right, you're spending so much time going, who are you again?
Yeah,
that you don't
it's
really
too much reliance on, again, like you said, playing the gacha. And it's similar to what we said earlier in the first season 1. It's because of gacha. There's too many characters, not enough time to really get to any sort of connection to all of them.
Man, well, the thing is also you can do a thing based on a gacha and to do it successfully. The thing is you have to basically admit to yourself you're going to have to focus on a very specific number of characters and not try all of them.
Isn't that what Uma Musume is doing?
Uma Musume, yeah. pretty much, let's see, Love Live, Umusume.
Love Live is a bit interesting because they do it. It's a little bit different than Umusume, where Umusume is picking like one or two and following them through the entire season.
But again,
Love Live changes things up, but they still do it well.
Yeah, they pick like a group of characters, and that's who they focus on the entire time. And then you also got like actually Review Starlight, or what was another? There's another one I was thinking. Oh, actually, well, Girls Frontline is a weird one because the anime wound up being kind of bleh, but that was not because of that was not a character problem. That was a writing problem. that was not a problem of too many characters. It was a problem of that writing just kind of was bland in the end.
Right.
Yeah, so here is they just keep jamming characters in, and it's like, I don't know who they are, and you kind of spend some time with them. We kind of get a little bit of a brief idea, and then they're gone. Like, there's this big whole thing at the end of season 2 where they're fighting one of them, Tsuruno. Yeah, Tsuruno there. She's the one at the beginning of season 1. Like, she's all strong and she's got fans, and they have this whole thing where it's like, oh, actually, she's not that strong. She's being forced in this because her circumstances are forcing her to pretend everything's cool, right? And it's like, that's the whole thing, which is why they have to do an attack to try to uncorrupt her, and it doesn't work because of that. They have Yachio does not really know who she is. It was just like, yeah, I know. I don't know who she is either. And the problem is, it's supposed to be this big emotional moment, and we're supposed to feel all sad and stuff. I'm like, I don't really feel much of anything because I don't know the character.
I think Tsuruno had a bit. She was a lot more prominent in season 1.
Barely. Again, even in season 1, she was only there for a little bit, and after about halfway through, she's gone. And then on top of that, we have the whole thing where a couple of the magic girls sacrifice themselves to, turn to all these, because there's one big reveal. Oh, by the way, if you keep using the Doppel system over and over and over again, eventually you kind of just
it's kind of stuck that way. Yeah,
which is like, oh, that's not much different from the witch thing, is it?
Not really.
But anyway, the magical girls sacrifice themselves to get all the other girls, out of the Doppel system, and like, again, it's this. Yachio has supposed to be this big emotional moment. It's like these characters, like, we've barely seen them. Like, I guess for Yachio it kind of works, but like, it's one of those weird things where it's like, like a lot of stuff can have the whole thing where the character itself is kind of a plot device for the other character you're supposed to care about. So it's like, oh no, someone died or whatever, and that's the thing. It's supposed to be a bad, it hits you emotionally because it hurts the character you actually know emotionally, right? And this, it kind of, I don't know, it's weird. It feels like they're trying to present it as you're supposed to know and care about these characters, and I just don't. I don't even know their names. Like, I kind of vaguely recognize, oh right, they're her original group, I guess, but the problem was, again, we didn't spend enough time with Yachio because we're too much time with these other characters who I also don't really know. And that's a problem, like, ever present throughout this entire run. So it just kind of becomes, and then on top of that, the plots kind of, all the individual plot lines just kind of crash into each other, and not with any real finesse or anything. Like, I always like the whole thing when you got a whole bunch of plot lines all coming together into, the big one, right? It doesn't work here because they're just really messily put together.
Yeah, it's just kind of shoved together, and they don't coalesce. They just kind of collide.
Really disjointed. Like, because, we get the flashback where it's like, oh, these 3 young girls, including the heads of Magia. Turns out, there's a whole reason why Yui's disappeared is because they shoved her soul into a cube. Because
they basically destroyed a cube, and
they kind of more or less, they kind of were able to try to outsmart Cube because they, kind of found out about because Iruha was always visiting in the hospital, and then it's like Ue was like about to die, and so Iruha makes her wish, and then after that, she's better, but now it's like Iruha barely ever comes around anymore because she's always busy. Mm-hmm. And they find out it's because of the magic girl thing, and they start prodding Cube, and then they realize he's not telling us everything, and they figure out a lot of stuff, and then they think, aha, we'll just make our wishes and we'll cheat the system.
Right? They almost did, and they almost
except that they overlooked the fact that Ue got overwhelmed.
Yep, they misjudged.
Yeah, and they had to shove her soul in the Cube, and then for some reason made everyone else just forget who.
Because they removed her soul from sort of existence. That was a bit like, yeah. But
Toka, I was hard to say she's the girl with the umbrella. She's like the main bad guy. Nemu is the one who's bedridden, only starts really appearing in season 2.
yeah.
But it's like she like invented a whole thing in her head as to why things are the way they are to account for Ue just not being there anymore.
And somehow Nemu remembered. Probably because her power and the fact that she's the one who did it.
Yeah, probably because she's the one who did it. But there's another thing about that, which is what was it?
The real bad guy?
Oh no. Ue, that was the thing, was the baby Cube who's been showing up since season 1. Like, who is this? Oh, that turned out to Ue the whole time.
Is actually Ue.
Oh, so Ue's gonna die because, again, she's just doomed now. Because, shut up.
Yeah, that part's not explained very well at all.
She's just doomed now. You can't save her just because of reasons. Because we got to have some degree of pathos, I guess, for Cosmatica Magica. But we've already got plenty of pathos. Nope, you can't have this one either. Nope, you can't have this little victory. Nope. But also, the other thing was the actual villain she's there. That's the other thing. She's barely in it, and then suddenly she's really important in like the last episode, and that's it.
Yep, Alina Gray is. I've never played the game. I don't know how much different her role is in the game, but it does feel like it was a little bit forced.
And on top of that, it's like, what is her motivation?
She's just kind of.
She's just trying to do some big, huge masterpiece.
She's a sociopath, and she just doesn't give a rip about anything, and she just wants to do this weird art thing because just like, whatever, I don't care, and that's all. Yeah.
It's really weird and just like, oh, they
she's
like
just kind of insane.
They just, I guess, I feel like they just redeemed the bad guys, and we need it just feels weird because Alina is just kind of like there for so much of it. It's like, it's clear she's got her own machinations, I guess, but then turns out, because she just wants to create a masterpiece artwork out of Magical Girl. Oh, okay.
She just wants to I think she just wants to destroy things in a beautiful manner. It's a trope I've seen a lot before.
She spells it out. She just wants to create art.
Yeah,
she doesn't care.
It's a trope I've seen before. But sociopathic, create art out of destruction and whatnot. Because whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's bizarre in its own right.
I think it would make more sense if, again, the common problem throughout this, they had more time to spend on the character throughout it to build this up, but
also on top of that, because they added in the original Madoka Magica characters, even more stuff to split focus with.
Right, and that one, I believe we mentioned in the first season, it kind of felt like the whole, remember these ones?
Yeah.
It's good.
Because they're here. Like they open the season with an episode entirely focused on the original characters, and then and completely and totally focus on them. And then they kind of show up and they help fight a bit, and then they kind of disappear so they could fight Walpurgisnacht. And, we have that whole thing where it's like, oh yeah, I guess there was it didn't totally go well because Homer had once again time traveled.
Yep. Although it's like, we ended this with this huge fight scene with this giant, not artificial witch.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these magical girls all came together to fight this thing. Why didn't you just send them all over to fight the next big one? I mean, you already had them all in big collective group.
So that's the funny thing is...
like, you could have just... hey, great job, everyone.
So you say
we need your help over here now.
So you say that. The thing about the game is, I believe in the game, the final boss is Walpurgisnacht. And you have all your magical girls, and you fight it, and you beat it. Yeah, and you get that game essentially, because it's a game, gets a happy ending.
Yeah, I guess
you can't do that for the anime, so we have to engineer this. Well, they couldn't because
they just didn't.
They just didn't. They just came over and fought this one. They just kind of didn't fight the other big
Turf Wars. Back, yeah, that's a different city. It's not our problem.
It's just a weird thing there. It's because we have to maintain the original timeline of Homer as constantly.
Which I do understand.
This version of Homer, this is not straight haired Homer with no glasses. This is still kind of the braids, kind of still a little innocent, a bit innocent, but also knows things. Homer. This is in that period where she hasn't quite gone full blown I barely care about anything except Madoka.
Yeah.
I only care about it because it matters to Madoka.
Yep.
So it's a weird thing. So yeah, she's still kind of she's still stuttering and shy and awkward. And
her fighting skills is still really rusty.
Yeah, but she's also clearly traveled enough because she knew that magical girls turned into witches. So she has gone through this multiple times. It also kind of more or less really shows that, okay, yeah, she leaves, but the timeline keeps going. So like, it would imply that, yeah, there is kind of a weird thing. I believe the implication is when she goes back to that original point she time travels back to,
she creates a new timeline.
It's basically constantly creating branching timelines, and every single time she gives up and goes back, well, she just leaves that timeline that just keeps going without her. And for better or for worse, no matter what she does. So it's like, oh yeah, those ones where straight up Madoka turns into, what was their witch name? I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember which name. The giant towering. Yeah.
It's basically, that's a Doom timeline. And she just leaves it.
Yeah.
So that's a thing in its own right. So that's, I know maybe a lot of the extra supplemental stuff it kind of been vague about whether or not it's like a new timeline. Because one of the theories I think is she's actually jumping timelines. She's not going back to the same one. She's going to a different one, which apparently sometimes she is, but sometimes she doesn't. There's been apparently official works where she jumps to a new timeline where things are already different when she jumps back.
Interesting.
That's in this again, supplemental material, but yeah, like there's one where there's a magical girl serial killer. She kills other magical girls. So that's fun.
Not certain how you're supposed to get grief seeds for that one, but okay.
Yeah, and yeah, well, she steals her grief seeds.
If they
a
have
lot of
any on
magical girls
hand.
carry grief seed or two on with them all the time, just in case.
Yeah.
And of course, well, it becomes a problem because, well, she targets Madoka, and well, Homer can't have that.
Nope.
But anyway, that's a thing. I guess there's also the weird thing, which is Kuroe, who
Got
is
to my thoughts about all of this.
Yeah, I know. There's also the third thing about Kuroe, which is again, she's not an actual game character. She was made for the anime.
Yeah, so spent a lot of time talking about how bad it is. Like I had mentioned a bit before that, it had certain aspects in it that I did like. I think a lot of it, we brought it up a couple times. It doesn't hit certain hard points that the first Madoka did, the original Madoka series did.
Right.
That really those lows and those hard hitting, oh geez, this is happening kind of a thing. I think in season 2, more of those start happening. We get some of them, like the big reveals and things like that. Again, they could definitely have been executed better, but I do think the concepts that they started to bring up were pretty good. The whole what happened with Ui.
Yep.
I think it's a great concept.
Yeah.
Not so great execution. I mean, it could have been better. I don't think it was bad by any means, but there was a couple holes that could have been fixed. A lot of this could have been fixed just by, how about we have a real third season and not a third season we had to make because our work production timelines got completely screwed up.
It is pretty clear watching it, something happened because season 2 is only 8 episodes long. One of those episodes is a recap episode they call 7. Well, actually, it's 9 episodes, but yeah, it's a 7.5 is just it's literally titled special episode, and it's just a recap.
Yeah.
It's just making sure. And then season 3 is 4 episodes. Yeah, the 8, 4, 12, Yeah, something happened. It's also season 3 uses the exact same OP and ED. It's like, yeah, something happened.
Season 3 was supposed to be the rest of season 2. I think a lot of the problems could have been fixed if they had a real third season, 12 episodes for 12 and 13, being able to spend the time to really develop the characters and such and things like that. But
that's not what happened.
That's not what happened. But I think there's a lot of cool things. The whole thing with Magus and the heads and what happened with Ui and such, those are really good concepts. I liked the ideas. Dealing with I guess Yachio's dark side, her past and her demons, I guess if we're gonna call it inner demons. So really starting to get into those, and the whole, like you were complaining about the how Yachio didn't really know Tsuruno or whatnot.
Yeah.
Those are good concepts.
Yes, but
and I wanted to see more of that. And I wish we could have had more time because I like that kind of a thing.
It starts off strong and then just quickly.
Again, it's pacing problems, just muddying it up. I just wanted to see more of that. But again, and like you finished off with before I took over, Kuroe, the character they added for the anime, I think probably is the highest point being actually one of the lowest, as darkest point, but hits one of the hardest. So Kuroe has been there through the entire thing, season 1, 2, and 3. Kind of as a background as a friend of Iroha, a longtime friend of Iroha.
Iroha, yeah.
We don't get to see a huge amount of her, but we do see her. She starts becoming a lot more prominent in season 2 as she's kind of the guide for Yachio because she is a Wings of Magia.
She becomes one, yeah.
She becomes one of them. So Yachio kind of uses her to like, you're going to get me in and you're going to give me answers. That she doesn't have all of them off the top. She redeems herself sort of, but she helps get in. She gets through all that, but we see at the end her darkness, her demons. Because you start seeing like her doppel basically speaking as her inner demons. It kind of happens to all of them. They speak to the inner demons. I love that imagery and concept, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the very end.
Also, that inner demon looks a lot like the magical girl she once met randomly.
Yep. I'm digging up her past and her mistakes and things like that. But she ends up falling to her doppel, spiking way up into the sky, breaking through the barrier, and becoming because Alina Gray created a barrier over the city.
A massive barrier that's been standing and somehow nobody really noticed until just now.
Apparently, yeah. The barrier is a weird barrier because Alina Gray's thing.
That was the whole reason why
she can create green barriers.
Yeah,
sometimes
the whole thing
solid,
was like why
the
Cubase were all like, "What's going on? We don't know."
Yeah, because it's a barrier. But it's also, I think her barrier's then tied to the doppel effect.
Yeah,
so it's the combination of the barrier and the doppel effect that keeps the Cubase out.
Yeah, somehow. It's one of those that somehow works.
It's one of those don't explain it. It's best that they don't explain it because then you can, what's the term for that? Suspension of disbelief.
No, man.
But yeah, she breaks through the barrier and actually becomes a witch on purpose because it turns out really, her last line, they're kind of calling back to Sayaka's bit, but her last line was, "When do I get to stop being a magical girl?"
Yeah.
And the whole idea that she only really became one at the urging of Iroha. And it's like, it's this idea, the happy, upbeat Iroha, you should become a magical girl with me and we can do all these cool things and it's going to be amazing, actually is the problem.
Yeah. Your hope is what gave her despair.
Yep. Those things are just that I want to see more of. And that's probably one of my favorite moments is that, because it's just one of those just drive the spike into the chest. Like, when that hits. Yeah. But yeah, it's muddied by the execution and pacing that happens. So many characters and just jumping between them, not being able to spend enough time. And that's one of the things that bugs me the most because I'm so into this the potential of stories and lore and things like that. Having this I can see how this could be so good. And having it just not there. It's just Yeah,
the whole thing about Kuroi. That's I was like, you kept talking it up. And I'm just like, I don't remember it being that great. And it's like, no, it wasn't that great.
I liked it.
I was honestly, in my opinion, it's like, again, I see the potential there, but again, I just feel like it just falls flat again because Kuroi, it doesn't get to do much until that last bit, and then we finally get some stuff, and then on top of that, for me, part of the problem is afterwards, Iroha is having her moment of realizing it's kind of her fault, and she just kind of bounces back way too quick. It's just solved in 5 minutes. Everyone's like, "Yeah, we're here for you, Iroha," and that's it.
Yeah, again, that's the problem for the entire thing. Is things happen, it's because there's not enough time to really delve into it. So for
me, it's it still didn't really quite hit that hard because again, it's just
you and I value things at different rates.
There comes a point for me. There's always that point of I'll see the potential, but eventually, if you don't execute well, I'm just going to dismiss it as bad because you didn't do a very good job. It's there comes a point where it's okay, I've given you enough slack, and you're not really. It's not working out.
But I like the potential, seeing the potential because it's just it. You and I are different. We like things differently. In that case, I can give it more slack, probably because
I like things slack. But again, I have a limit, and that this goes past that limit.
Well, our limits are different.
Because I'm just it's just not that great. It's I see what they're trying to do. It can almost work, except just falls apart just like everything else in this. Just like that barrier did. And I don't know. It could have been cool. It could have been. It just, again, it feels like possibly also because they're also jamming. Again, she's an anime only character, so they're jamming in yet another character. Because it's like, listen, all you have to do is focus on this handful of characters, but you're too hell bent on trying to camp everyone in there. And on top of, and it's like other stuff like, what was it? Her Yachio's friend, I can't remember. She got the gray hair thing. What?
She had a lot of those.
Yeah, the one with the gray hair.
Oh yeah, her.
Yeah, braids. Yeah. She also, there's kind of cool stuff there because the whole Fallout, they had the Fallout before Iroha showed up, and it's like, again, it was kind of more, I think it was better done in season 1. Here, it just kind of, again, and then it leads into the whole sacrificial thing, which, again, just, the emotional moment doesn't really hit that hard because one of these characters is like, okay, I know you somewhat. You, I really don't know because you were there for like all of 2 episodes. And yeah, it's just, the whole thing is just frustrating, an exercise of frustration because they could have done some great things here and they just, lots of unforced errors. Big thing would be, I think, cut down the cast, being able to get another season, spread it out a bit, and I think you could have had a fairly solid thing, which maybe never could have hit the point of Magica did, but could still have been great in its own right.
One of the things with stuff like these spin-offs, especially when you have a spin-off from something that's as big and popular as Magica, don't try. Unless you know you've got some actually, really good story material that lets it stand on its own right, don't try to just, oh, this thing was really, really big and popular, we've got to get bigger now. Like, okay, you're just going to hurt yourself.
I agree, potentially. I'll say things. Of course, the soundtrack is, because it's very similar to Magica and uses a lot of the motifs and whatnot from Magica.
Sometimes works straight up same songs.
Sometimes, yeah, but you also uses new versions, kind of new spin-offs of those songs, which and whatnot. That really works really well.
They really like to go back and use Mami's theme a lot. The Credens Justidium from the first one.
The other thing is a lot of the animation. Well, it's weird. Animation is sometimes really hit and miss. Sometimes it was really well done. Like there's some bits in the fight scenes which are just really well animated. But other parts are like little. Sometimes it got a little rough here and there. But most of the part, it looked really good. Like I would say a lot of the fight scenes wind up like very stylish, and you had a lot of that, I guess, kinetic energy to it, which is really necessary for a fight scene.
Right.
So it looked really good in that case. And speaking of, it was done by, once again, just like the original Magica was done by Shaft. Yeah, again, beyond Magica has done a lot of other, some things like, let's see, of course, Bakemonogatari.
Oh yeah, Shaft is a quite popular one.
Salt Lily Bouquet.
Still waiting for the
Ruby Ice Queendom.
Yep. Still waiting for the new Magica, though.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on that. TBA still. Yeah, just looking at TBA.
Well, they did some Fate stuff as well.
Yeah, they've done a lot.
Yep. They've been around for a while.
Yeah, so it's should you want? Well, that's the thing. I think our thing was like season 1. I think I remember it was going like, yeah, you should watch it. Just don't have the high expectations of it being Magica related. This, it's like, now that as the whole package, now that we have the whole thing, because it's pretty definitively done now, it's harder for me to say, yeah, go ahead and watch it, because it does turn into an utter mess for a good half of it. Half of it is kind of an utter mess, and the other half is solid, but nothing too amazing, And that's kind of, it's like when you have only half of it's any decent, and the other half is really hard to get through, or not hard to get through, but like really just messy and meandering, weirdly meandering in some ways.
It was a bit meandering.
And messy and too full of characters, and emotional impact is lost because of that. It's just harder to recommend as a whole. I don't know. Maybe if you just really want to just soak up all the Magica stuff, then I guess you're going to be watching this. But I can't really recommend it in the end. After all that, it's going to kind of be. I think it'll just be kind of frustrating in the end, because you'll see what they could have done and what actually happened.
Right. Yeah. I still liked it, but yeah, it's definitely got issues.
I think that's the thing for me. Is just I see the potential to get mad about it because like you had something great here. You were on the verge of greatness. You were this close, and you blew it.
Yeah, but and for me, it's like I want to see the potential than not. I'd rather see it. In this case, it's not so bad, in at least to me, that I would rather see it in the state that it is than not at all.
Yes.
For me, that's where I'm at. I'm happier that I saw it than not seeing it. I liked it, but it's definitely got problems.
Yeah, I can't. I'm just sitting here going, I can't recommend it really because it's just. I think it just would be too frustrating to recommend. I mean, if you really want to, go ahead, but
it depends on how frustrated you get.
My thing is just lower your expectations a lot for season 2 and 3.
Yeah, don't if you watch the original Madoka and go, this is really good. Oh look, we have a spinoff. Yay, I'm gonna get more. Curb your enthusiasm.
Bum, bum, bum.
Exactly. But yeah, I liked it, but definitely don't go into it expecting the same cohesiveness and same level of quality and such as the original series.
Oh yeah, that reminds me and I just remembered the animation about the with witches and self. That's always been the thing in Madoka Magica is the way. Here it feels like I remember with Madoka Magica, the witches all kind of had unique styles.
Yeah, they didn't.
Here it just feels like it's the same style again.
Yeah,
it's all weird and different looking from everything else. But
yeah, there's a term for that style where it's like, it's like those. I forgot the names of them. We have like the paper.
Yeah. But I'm talking about, there are kind of two different styles going on here. What I'm talking about is there's animation style, which is what it's always been, the weird paper style, kind of weird and a really out of place in Madoka Magica. And then you got the art style, which is how you use that paper style.
Right.
And it's always been paper style, but it's always been with the Madoka Magica. It there was different art styles within that paper style. But here it feels like it's always the same art style regardless.
Yeah, I wonder if it was just cut the different styles down for time
because there's now a whole lot of witches and doppels to deal with, so we don't have time.
Probably think of it like, it's because we're seeing the doppels and the doppels are artificial. Well, yeah, that's kind of
it might be the thing, but
I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be or if that's just like an
congratulations, just gave him a convenient excuse.
We're coming up with it. That happens all the time.
I think the only time that was different was the when the original group was fighting that one witch in the first episode of season 2.
Yeah, but that's because that was a witch from the original series, and they already had it.
So it's kind of a weird thing there.
Yeah. I'll go with the explanation that the other ones aren't witches, they're doppels, and that's why they're all the same, just because they're all artificial.
Yeah, and the other thing is getting also
they're
the OP.
Uasa, I should say.
Also, the OP and ED are also pretty good too, because part of it is Clarice.
It's Clarice.
I mean, they did original Madoka and also Licorice Recall.
Yeah, it's good music.
Yeah, so there's that. So I guess we can go ahead and wrap up because we kind of got through it. Yeah. All the stuff, good and bad. There was some good. I did acknowledge it. I did acknowledge the good. The animation's great. The music's great. But the narrative's messy. The characters I barely care about because there's so many of them. Yeah. I guess know what to expect if you go ahead and check it out or whatever. Or if you want to come here and see if we agreed with you or what. I guess we'll go ahead and wrap up with that. So if you like this and you want to check out other episodes, you go to newtoweeaboo.libsyn.com, spelled Libsyn. You can check out the episodes there and subscribe to the RSS feed. You can also check us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and Amazon Podcasts. Search for New to Weeaboo there, or click the links at the top of the Libsyn site if you want to go to any of those. And of course, you could also email us, newtoweeaboo@gmail.com, if you have questions or comments or anime recommendations or what have you. Did you really like Magia Record? I don't know. Maybe you're mad at us because we just, trashed on the things you liked. I don't know. happens. I've seen people really get into things which aren't that great, actually, but hey.
And people like different things. And just because you don't like something or you like something doesn't mean that everyone else is going to...
I don't think we can be friends.
Depending on what it is. If it's just like, I like this story and you don't like this story, you can still be friends. If it's something else, like I think these people should or shouldn't exist, that's a little bit more of a harder thing. Yeah.
So there's that whole thing. And of course, you can follow us on Twitter at New2Weeaboo if you want to follow us there. And of course, there's our personal accounts. I'm at Emphasis Prime 1 and he's at Alcatraz the 77T and an _ at the end. I'm doing Transformers. He does Vocaloid retweets. And that's your lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, that's it for this one. Tune in next time. We'll be talking about Review Starlight. Even though we're doing the whole theming thing. It's March Magical Girls. So we'll be talking about that. I've been wanting to talk about that one for a while, and the movie just came out a little bit ago, so probably about time. So why not? Again, take care of yourselves. We're gonna be rolling into spring soon. All that stuff.
Yep.
And
hopefully it stops being cold and wet here pretty soon.
Well, it's still gonna be wet.
Yeah.
It's Washington. It's gonna be wet for most of the year.
In spring too.
Anyway, that's this one. Take care of yourselves and all that stuff, and we'll see you later. So goodbye.
See ya.